Okay, that's working. Okay. Okay, last time we were discussing how you figure out the age of a bar mitzvah boy, if he was born in a leap year, a regular year, if he was born when Cheshvan was not full month and Kislev was a full month, whatever it is. Also, we learned that if a kid is born twilight between Shkia and nightfall, so then you have to be machmir both ways. You can't count it for a minyan until the second day, but he's obligated in mitzvahs the first day. Generally speaking, a boy preparing for the bar mitzvah is a very special time in his life. You have to prepare spiritually for the bar mitzvah. People go to tzaddikim, people go to graves of tzaddikim, a lot of things like that. Okay, now, as far as the aliyah of a bar mitzvah boy, there's an interesting story with the Alter Rebbe and the Mittel Rebbe. When the Mittel Rebbe turned bar mitzvah, a lot of Chassidim came to the Alter Rebbe in Liozne because it was a big celebration. The Alter Rebbe's oldest son became bar mitzvah. So Friday night was his birthday. So the Chassidim were wondering, Shabbos day in the morning, he didn't give him an aliyah. He didn't give the bar mitzvah boy an aliyah. And he gave him to mincha, Shabbos mincha. So Chassidim started, they're very great scholars. They were discussing halacha, part of a day is a full day, not a day. They were thinking why the Alter Rebbe didn't give him an aliyah in the morning, because l'chayda, he was 13 at that time. He became bar mitzvah, like we said, as soon as the 13th birthday comes, you become bar mitzvah. Finally, the Alter Rebbe said that our custom is that the bar mitzvah boy, the first aliyah he gets should be Monday, Thursday, or Shabbos to mincha. Not Shabbos morning. So there's nothing to do with the fact he was bar mitzvah, not bar mitzvah. The first aliyah a bar mitzvah boy gets should be Shabbos, Monday, Thursday, or Shabbos to mincha. Now, the question is about, let's say, giving a bar mitzvah boy maftir. You know, haftarah, maftir, haftarah, which most religious places the boys get maftir. But technically, according to halacha, a kid under bar mitzvah could also have haftarah, could also get maftir. Except it says certain haftarahs of the year you shouldn't give a kid. Because now it's this very special haftarah, like the first day Shavuos, whatever, you shouldn't give a kid. But technically in halacha it's not necessarily Chabad custom to do it, but kids under bar mitzvah are allowed to get maftir. But nevertheless, when it comes bar mitzvah, the custom is the first aliyah a kid gets is Monday, Thursday, or Shabbos to mincha.
Is there a reason for it, or is there our reason?
It didn't say, the Alter Rebbe didn't say a reason. I'm sure there's a reason, but it's not, there's no reason given, at least from what I've seen, of why not Shabbos morning. Okay, let's go further. Okay, also on the day of the bar mitzvah, they discuss what should a kid do on the day of the bar mitzvah. As far as some people say, he should make a siyum on the 6 orders of Mishnayos. Bar mitzvah kids will do it, by the way. They learn the whole Mishnayos. They make a siyum on the whole Mishnayos. Some say that he makes a pilpul. And in Chabad, the custom is that the bar mitzvah boy, on the day of the bar mitzvah, recites the Chassidic discourse, the maimed that kids say at the bar mitzvah. And the Rebbe is very strict, so to speak, about it, that it should be actually done on the day of the bar mitzvah with a minyan. The minyan, the kid should say the maimed of the bar mitzvah. That's on the day of the birthday, not the day he gets his aliyah. On the day of the birthday, the kid should do that. In addition to that, it says in halacha, and the Rebbe mentions this also, the kid should give extra tzedakah before shachris and mincha. The parents should give extra tzedakah before shachris and mincha on the day of the bar mitzvah, and things like that. But again, bar mitzvah is a very, very holy day for a kid. It's the day he becomes obligated to mitzvahs. In fact, in some places it's brought down, a kid shouldn't talk the day of his bar mitzvah, he should just learn and daven and not say anything, and it's not realistic nowadays. But that's what it is. Now what happens if somebody, now we know there's an order of people, chiyuvim, right, of who has first rights to aliyahs, davening for the Yomid, maftir and all that. So what happens if a kid is a bar mitzvah and he's going to get maftir on Shabbos? Okay? And the same Shabbos, somebody has yortzeit. Now there is an obligation for somebody that has yortzeit to get an aliyah. Not necessarily maftir, it's preferred to get maftir, but you don't have to. So now the question is, a kid is bar mitzvah, he's supposed to get maftir, and somebody has yortzeit. So who comes first? So the din is, the minig of the olam is that the bar mitzvah kid comes before a yortzeit, as far as the maftir goes. Okay, that's it. The father of the kid does not have an obligation to become the bar mitzvah boy. One more second. First time the kid gets an aliyah also, there's a bracha that in Shulchan Aruch it says you're supposed to say a bracha, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam sheptorani me'ein shalozeh. Because a bar mitzvah, a father is responsible for the avedus of the kid. Once a kid becomes bar mitzvah, it's the kid's headache. So the father makes the bracha, sheptorani me'ein shalozeh. But our minig, the Rebbe writes, we don't say Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam. We just say Baruch sheptorani. The father says Baruch sheptorani me'ein shalozeh. There's a whole discussion, interestingly, in halacha. The Alter Rebbe doesn't bring it down, but the Magen Avraham brings it down about why doesn't the father say Baruch sheptorani when his daughter becomes bas mitzvah? Obviously, the daughter can't get an aliyah. But l'chayre, the father at the day of the daughter's bas mitzvah should say Baruch sheptorani me'ein shalozeh. And the Magen Avraham, there's a whole discussion halacha how much he's responsible, not responsible, whatever. It's a discussion. What?
Why can't you say Hashem's name?
The Rebbe writes the meaning is not. There's a reason for it. There's something to do with the question of chinuch, how far it goes, not far. But our meaning, the Rebbe writes clearly, we say without Shem and Malchus. So he does say Baruch sheptorani me'ein. The shaila is how much are you freed from this that you're able to make a bracha with Shem and Malchus?
Even on Shabbos.
Even on Shabbos. If the first aliyah is Shabbos to Mincha, the father said Baruch sheptorani at Mincha. The first time the kid says an aliyah. Now what happens if a kid is not around the father's not around when the kid gets his first aliyah? For whatever reason. So then the first time the kid gets an aliyah, when the father is present, then the father says Baruch sheptorani me'ein shalozeh. But ideally it's done by the first aliyah the kid gets. If there's no if he's not around, what?
Why can't the first aliyah be Shabbos morning?
It doesn't say, I told you, it doesn't say a reason.
You can't say the bracha without the kid present. You have a situation where the father is not around at all.
Say the bracha. Sheptorani me'ein halozeh. Halozeh means this person. You don't say Baruch sheptorani me'ein haben. You say Baruch sheptorani me'ein halozeh. This kid. If he's not there, how can you say it? It's the words. Then the words you have to change the wording. What?
Is it supposed to be if somebody has a yorsad, he has to say maftir?
No. You don't have to say maftir. He has to get an aliyah. Some people, if possible, they would like to get maftir. By the way, just for the record, according to halacha, the least prominent aliyah is maftir. The least prominent aliyah is maftir. Because that's where even a cotton can get it. Because, let me explain the reason for this. Moshe Rabbeinu instituted Kriya on Shabbos 7 aliyahs, right? Moshe Rabbeinu instituted 3 aliyahs during the week, 4 aliyahs in Rosh Chodesh and Chol HaMoed, 5 aliyahs in Yom Tif, 6 aliyahs in Yom Kippur, and 7 aliyahs in Shabbos. That was for Moshe Rabbeinu. Okay? Ezra, Nachi Knesset Agdela, instituted Shabbos Mincha, Torah reading. But the initial Torah reading, there was no such thing as maftir. There were the 7 aliyahs and that's it. Then the Gemara brings down there was a time that the Goyim made a decree that the Jews are not allowed to read the Torah. They're not allowed to read the Torah. It's forbidden with capital punishment, So instead of reading the Torah, they read something from Navi, which is similar to the Parsha. That's why most haftarahs are connected somehow to the parsha or to the Yom Tov or whatever. So instead of reading in the Torah that there was mamish capital punishment, there was life were in danger, so they read haftarah instead of reading the Torah. Then when that decree became nullified, they went back, they stopped reading haftarah, and they went back to reading in the Torah, because they were allowed to now, without maftir. Then again there was a decree against reading Torah, so again they read the haftarah only. Then that became nullified, so the Chachamim said, okay, back to Torah reading, but we're going to keep haftarah. We're going to keep still the tradition that people read the haftarah. Then the problem is though, so technically, a person that gets the haftarah should just say the haftarah. We read again from the Chumash though. You know, the last few psukim we read again from after. Why do we do that? So it says in halacha, because if you read the parsha and then the person reads the haftarah, you're giving the same equal credence of Nevi'im to Chumash. And we don't want to do it. The Chumash is holier than Nevi'im. So therefore we read again from the Chumash that when we read the haftarah, it's just not the haftarah itself, it's also with the Chumash. That's the origin of Aliyahs. Okay? Based on that, haftarah is not one of the 7 obligations of the original Torah reading that Moshe Rabbeinu instituted. So therefore, technically, haftarah is the least prominent of all the Aliyahs. Okay? You say, it's same thing in a wedding. We discussed, we were learning the dinim of weddings. So he said, why do you read the ksubah? You read the ksubah to separate between part 1 of the wedding and part 2 of the wedding. There's no prominence in reading the ksubah. Years ago, the shamus of the shul, you know, the rabbi officiated the wedding, and the shamus, like the caretaker of the shul, would read the haftarah. The ksubah. Okay? Today it's considered a very big honor. Why? Because it's in Aramaic, without vowels. You know, who can read it? The simple people can't read Haksubah. So you have a prominent person reading it. Same thing with the haftarah. But it is brought down in certain places that for Yortzeit it's proper to get haftarah if you can, or things like that. In fact, there's a whole discussion in Poskim, interestingly, what is the most prominent aliyah besides Kohen and Levi? Is it Shlishi? Is it Shishi? Some people like Shlishi, some people like Shishi, some people like Revi, some people like Chamishi. And the reality of it is, every aliyah is holy. And like Rabbi Twersky, the famous Rabbi Twersky once said, he says, I have pity on those people who demand a Shlishi and a Shishi, that means there's something. He said, I just have pity on such people that think the Shishi or the Shlishi is going to make him an important person. That's what makes you important. He said, I just pity those people. So there's a whole discussion in halacha, what's more prominent, Shlishi or Shishi, whatever. Anyway, coming back here. So the kid gets the...
So there is no difference between first aliyah, 3...
There's no difference between first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth.
And the person that has a yorsad, if he doesn't do haftarah, he didn't disrespect the parents.
No, he didn't disrespect his parents at all.
Are they going to Rebbeim haftarah?
By the way, the Rebbeim started saying maftir from the Rebbe Marash. The Alter Rebbe, the Middle Rebbe, Tzemach Tzedek did not get maftir. The first Rebbe that started doing maftir was Rebbe Marash. And then the Rebbe Rishab, the Friedgam, then the Rebbe. That's it. It's the Rebbe should think. What?
That's when it became many by Yortzeit to get maftir haftarah?
No. Not because of it. No, in halacha it's brought down about getting maftir. Some people have him, it's brought down in halacha. I mean, some people go crazy with it. A person, the year of Avelis, they'll make a minyan to get maftir every week. There is such an inyan. I mean, but you don't push away any other chiyuvim. But again, I'm just saying, you know, of all the aliyahs, the least prominent of all the aliyahs is actually maftir.
So if it's so not kosher like this, that way, so why do you make such an union?
Why is such a big inyan, a big honor reading the Ksuba?
No, it's no for a yahrzeit. So why do you have to go? Why?
Because there's an inyan of a mafter. It's not the Chabad thing about mafter for yahrzeit. It's brought down in the halacha. What? It's not only that. The mafter, you have more brachas. It's more, yeah, but it's more brachas.
It's not holy, it's just that idea, whatever opportunity you have to be able to do the mitzvah, no?
What mitzvah? Every aliyah is a mitzvah.
No, but I'm saying the Haftarah is extra.
The haftarah is, it's not extra mitzvah, it's more of the brachas, you have more brachas and things like that. That's it.
Oh, why is it, the after comes back from them and what portion to say? So how come like sometimes you see that it says you say this way, you have it that way, you have extra, you say less.
There are different customs, like everything else in Judaism. There's different customs of which haftarahs you say. The Rambam mentions in the laws of Kriyas HaTorah, the Rambam goes through all the haftarahs that you say. You know, which week you say haftarah. And basically that's the minute that the Svardim follow. Then you have the Ashkenazic minig of which haftarahs you say. And it's interesting, the Chabad haftarahs usually are more of the Svardik haftarahs with a few exceptions. Chabad haftarahs that we say, because it's more based on Kabbalah. So it's more Svardik haftarahs usually than, even in this week. Vatosha Dereda, it's a whole long haftarah, right? It's a double header. Really, it's one of the longest haftarahs of the year. So there's a big difference between Ashkenazim and Sfardim. Ashkenazim start the second half. Sfardim do the whole thing. And Chabad does the whole thing. I mean, it's just in this week we have it already. But that's basically just that difference.
Does anybody give a cut into mafta?
In the shul, generally not. I know I had mafta when I was a kid. Sfardim do it. Sfardim do, start putting on 20, 11 too, some of them.
Also different Hamas, different styles.
That's again all tradition with different customs and opinions of tradition. You ever find two Jews agreeing on everything? Anything? Not anything. Okay, yes, you were learning about Bar Mitzvah kid. When he becomes Bar Mitzvah, you know, as soon as he technically the night comes, he becomes Bar Mitzvah. The first mitzvah, action mitzvah, is mitzvah of Shema. Now, do you say Tachnun on the day of a Bar Mitzvah? There's a whole discussion in halacha. Svardim have a custom that they don't say. And the boys Bar Mitzvah day, they don't say. Ashkenazim, and that's our minig, is that we do say Tachnun on the day of Bar Mitzvah. Even the Bar Mitzvah boy says Tachnun on the day of the Bar Mitzvah. Again, he's allowed to daven for the Yomid. Okay, good. Okay, we mentioned also that some Svardim have a minig that the kids would even get an aliyah, even for on Shabbos, within the 7 aliyahs, even a kid before Bar Mitzvah. But again, Ashkenazim don't do it, and even now I don't think Svardim do it either. We also learned that the first aliyah that the Bar Mitzvah boy gets according to Chabad custom is either Monday, Thursday, or Shabbos to Mincha. We were discussing yesterday that the Rebbe's son, the Mittel Rebbe, his Bar Mitzvah was Shabbos, but he didn't get an aliyah until Mincha. And the reason for that is it brought down because Monday, Thursday, and Shabbos afternoon is what's called Eis Rotzen. It's an auspicious time. And because it's an auspicious time, that's the time when it's proper for a Bar Mitzvah boy to get his first aliyah. Okay, now, some people have a minig. Okay, now the question is what do you do when you have twins that are becoming Bar Mitzvah? Okay, so you have the same birthday. So, or what do you do with two kids? Let's say the custom is people want to lay in Shul Shabbos, right? The Bar Mitzvah kids. They want to read the Parsha. So what do you do if you have twins or you have two people in the shul? They have the same birthday and the same Shabbos Bar Mitzvah. So it says what you can do technically, what you usually do, they make a lottery and each one does half. And then you make a lottery, which one does the first half, which one does the second half. Or you can make two separate minyanim, and then each kid can read the whole thing. Okay. Now, we were discussing yesterday about the bracha Baruch Torani, right? Now, to elaborate a little bit on what we were saying yesterday, it was getting late. We were saying that some people say, Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam Torani me'ein shalazeh. Other people say, when this is a Chabad custom, we say, Baruch Torani me'ein shalazeh. We don't say B'Shem Malchus. We don't say, we just say, Baruch Torani not Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam. So the Ramah, in fact, in Shulchan Aruch brings down two opinions. Do you say it with Hashem's name, or don't you say it with Hashem's name? The reason why you don't say with Hashem's name, the Ramah brings down, is because it's not a bracha mentioned anywhere in the Gemara. Most brachas, all brachas, in fact, are mentioned in the Gemara. This bracha that the father says, Baruch Torani, is not mentioned in the Gemara. So because it's not mentioned in the Gemara, many people have a minute that they say it, like we do, Baruch Torani me'ein shalazeh. What's interesting, it's brought down that the Alter Rebbe, when his son was Bar Mitzvah, the Alter Rebbe said, Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam Torani me'ein shalazeh. The Alter Rebbe did do it b'Shem Malchus. But again, that's an exceptional case.
In the mincha time or in the
No, in mincha time. In mincha time. So there's what's called Rebbe Sheminhagim, the things that the Rebbeim do. And there are things that the Rebbe says what we should do, how to behave. So what do you do when the Rebbe and like in Minhagim it says you do it a certain way and the Rebbe did it differently? Do you do what the Rebbe did, or you do like it says in the book to do? So the answer to the question is you do what it says in the book. What the Rebbe does is his business. A lot of things like that. How to do Berachos Kohanim, do you say V'ham Rachim and no Tachlim? There's a lot of issues. So certain things it says clearly that the Rabbeim did, and that's the Rebbe Sheminik. But generally speaking, you do what now, sometimes they bring down in Minhagim that the Rebbe Rashab did a certain way. But then, if the Rebbe did a different way, why do you have to do what the Rebbe Rashab did? You can do what the Rebbe did. But if the Rebbe says, this is what you did, this is the way you do it, so even though the Alter Rebbe himself said the bracha, Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, but l'peil, our meaning is that we don't do it with the bracha, and therefore, what? Again, for the same reason, because it's not actually a bracha mentioned in the Gemara. Did you say Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam? Okay, then you answer Amen. Okay, and some people do it quietly, some people do it loudly. Okay, okay. Now, what does it mean that you say Baruch Torani me'ein shalazeh? And there's two different opinions what it means. Some people say that the father is not responsible for the kid anymore, and one is that the kid's not responsible for the father anymore. Baruch Torani, you weren't here last night. Baruch Torani means the father, when a kid becomes Bar Mitzvah, says Baruch Torani me'ein shalazeh. That means potter. Ma'onesh shalazeh. Yeah, ani lo yidei ledaber. Baruch Torani, that I'm potter. So some people say it means that the kid is not going to die for the father's sins anymore because he's an adult. Because the Rambam writes that many times when a parent sins, so the kids under Bar Mitzvah, Bas Mitzvah are the property of the parents still. They're not their own adult. So therefore Hashem sometimes punishes the parents by punishing the kids. But now the kid's Bar Mitzvah, so he says, okay, I'm not responsible for him anymore. And the other opinion is that the father's not responsible anymore for the kid because he educated him, and now it's up to the kid. What happens if the father didn't say it right away? He has up to 30 days to say the bracha Baruch Torani.
But most parents would rather take the punishment for the kids.
Yeah.
And to spare the kids.
That's the way it's supposed to be. It's not always true. That's the way it's supposed to be with normal parents. But not all parents are normal. Now another interesting thing, and it says, it's brought down here, but it's brought down, mentioned, especially we're very strict in this. You know, let's say that you have the Monday and Thursday morning, right? So the guy has an aliyah. Shlishi, right? That's an aliyah. You finish the aliyah, and right away you say half Kaddish. Okay? So it's very important to know, you're not supposed to separate saying not gomel, not boshab Torani, not nothing, not anything, until you say half Kaddish. Okay, so he's to finish third aliyah, right away the guy says a half Kaddish. Then if a guy has to bench gomel, he can bench gomel. He wants to say boshab Torani, he could say boshab Torani. But it's very important not to make a break between the third aliyah and the Kaddish. And once happened, the Rebbe was saying Kaddish, and somebody said Gomel or something in between, and the Rebbe was very upset with it. Because Kaddish is supposed to be said right, mamish, on the, straight after the Aliyah.
And that will be the same before after Shvi, you add in the first one.
After Shvi, the same thing. Before you do anything, you have to say have Kaddish. No Gomel, no, just straight have Kaddish. Now, what happens if you have twins? Do you say Baruch Torani once or twice? So the answer is you say it twice, once for each one. Okay, now, do you need a minion to do Baruch Torani? So it says in halacha, if you do it with Hashem's name, Baruch Hashem Hakem, then you would need a minion. But if you say Baruch Torani Meina Shalazeh, because you're not saying with Hashem's name, then you don't need a minion. So, what? No, you can say it. What if there's no aliyah? What happens if the father's not there, the kid's not there, whatever? So they bring down the mothers. Some people say the mother says it, but the minig is not. The mothers don't say it. What? Right. So I'm saying, what happens? What happens if there's a situation that there's no Sefer Torah where they are? I mean, I'll give you a crazy example. Father's sitting in jail. Okay, the kid becomes bar mitzvah. So on the day of bar mitzvah, they go visit the father. And there's no minion. Okay, it's a wacky case. So if father, God forbid, is sick in the hospital. Okay? So you're not going to have a minion. You're not going to have Sefer Torah. So the father could say, Baruch Torani, Meina Shalazeh. But if he would have to say with a bracha, then he wouldn't be able to say it without a minion. No.
Is it a bracha as well?
If what?
Like if your minhag used to say Hashem's name and there's no minion for some reason, is it a bracha or is it?
Yeah, because you're not supposed to say such a bracha without a minion. Yeah.
So you break your minhag.
Then you say Baruch Torah. Yeah, you have no choice. You're not allowed to say it with Hashem's name if there's no minion. Some people have a minig, they say it at the su'ud of the bar mitzvah, that's when they'll say Baruch Torani. But the pro again, the minig is not like that. Okay, next. Okay, now, there's an interesting thing about a kid laning. Kid laning at the bar mitzvah. So, in the world, the minig is a kid lanes at the bar mitzvah. Okay? The truth is, the Rebbe did not want kids laning at the bar mitzvah. The Rebbe did not want kids laning at the bar mitzvah. There's a lot of letters from the Rebbe. The Rebbe said it orally to people. In fact, the personal thing in my family, the Rebbe said it to, which I'll say in a second. But the Rebbe said, why are kids wasting time to learn the Kriya? It takes a lot of time. They should be learning the halachos that they need to know, which are more practical than just being able to learn the Torah. In fact, when in my family, my older brother became bar mitzvah, he laned. And then the Rebbe heard about it, so the Rebbe told my father, in Yiddish, he said to him, you want to make him a balkaire? You want to make him like, it's not the proper thing to do. So my older brother, the second brother didn't lane, I didn't lane, my younger brother didn't lane. So, and there's letters from the Rebbe he didn't want, but the minig is today, kids do lane, whatever. It depends also if they have a chush, if they have a talent in laning, then it's something to do, because then at least you'll use it later. A kid that's going to lane one time in his life at the bar mitzvah, like, what are you doing it for? It's like, stam torturing the kid. And in fact, Rabbi Tzin also brings it down here, that the Rebbe's letter. Okay. Except he shouldn't name Parsha Zoch if he's a kid or whatever. Next. The day a kid becomes bar mitzvah, he should wear big day Shabbos clothing, because by him it's a big simcha, it's a big day. Even the parents also wear Shabbos clothing. Okay, now, we mentioned the other day that the Rebbe wanted that the bar mitzvah boy should chazer the maimer, say the maimer, on the day of the bar mitzvah. We also learned there's there's an Indian to make a meal on the day of a party, basically, on the day of the bar mitzvah. In fact, the Rabbi Yosef Shusterman Bava Kama, which brings down, in the 7th paragraph of Bava Kama, the Rabbi Yosef Shusterman brings down all the, we had said, all the Sudas mitzvahs, everything which is a mitzvah, not a mitzvah. And he writes over there, and this brought down in halacha from the Mashal, that if you make a Suda on the actual birthday of the bar mitzvah, it's called Sudas mitzvah. If it's not on the day of the bar mitzvah, then if somebody says a Devar Torah at the meal, then it becomes a Sudas mitzvah. But then it itself is not a Sudas mitzvah if it's not the day of the birthday. If it's the day of the birthday, then the actual meal on the day of the birthday is a Sudas mitzvah. And what the difference would be is there's certain tzaddikim that would only eat at a Sudas mitzvah. They didn't eat, at a regular meal. So then they would eat at such a thing. In fact, we find the makar for this, by the way, in Chumash, when it says, "Vayas Avram mishte gadol b'yom higamal es Yitzchak," Rashi says he made a big party the day, it simply means the day Yitzchak was weaned. So in the Medrash, we discussed this already before, in the Medrash there's different opinions, which day was it of higamel es Yitzchak? In the English it's translated the day he was weaned. That means he stopped nursing, which was 2 years. One opinion the Medrash says higamel was the day Yitzchak's bris. And he gamel is hey gimel, which is 5 and 3 is 8, and mal, so that's the day he had a bris. Another opinion, the Medrash says that b'yemi gamel Yitzchak, the day he became bar mitzvah. So that's a source even in biblical terms, in Torah, that the day of a bar mitzvah you're supposed to make a suda, because we find even Avram Avinu did, even though it was before Matan Torah, but still Avram Avinu did a sudas mitzvah for Yitzchak. Okay, you have to make sure you have a mechitza, says you shouldn't be sitting men and women together. Okay.
What's the literal translation?
What?
What's the literal translation of Higamel?
Higamel literally means the day he was weaned. You know what weaned is? It's English. Zagam Farsi.
Satiated?
Weaned is when they stop nursing.
Oh.
What's the word in Persian?
Oh, yeah.
Which means?
They take him away from
Weaning, okay.
Yeah.
In fact, there's an interesting shaila. Is a Jew allowed to leave Eretz Yisrael? Is a Jew allowed to leave? A Jew that lives in Eretz Yisrael, is he allowed to leave Eretz Yisrael? 1 second. So the question is, can a relative in Eretz Yisrael come to a bar mitzvah?
Yeah.
So they write that you could because it's a mitzvah. Bar mitzvah is a mitzvah, the meal is a mitzvah, if it's the day, or you say Torah. And it's interesting, a lot of times when people ask the Rebbe why he doesn't come to Eretz Yisrael, the Rebbe said, I want to find me a Rav that will permit me to leave Eretz Yisrael if I go there. That's the answer to a lot of people.